Hi, I'm Dave Mustaine from Megadeth, and you're not, but you are watching Loudwire. That whole thing originated because somebody had said something very disrespectful to our genre about, heavy metal guitar players not being that talented, and they had said that classical is way harder to do, and it is. But there's a lot of definers in classical music. For example, you ask somebody who's a classically trained artist to just shred, a lot of times they have a difficult time, ad-libbing and stuff like that. Now, not all of them, and I don't want to make a generalized statement because I would be making an ass out of myself if I said that, because they're obviously very talented, but I found when I went in there and I started to dissect the song, I started to learn a lot of really interesting chords, inversions, scales, and modality stuff that I'd never, because I'm self-taught. I know what I'm doing, but I don't know what it is that I'm doing. And let me see, what's the song? Bullet to the Brain has some of the Vivaldi stuff. Poisonous Shadow has a little bit of the Vivaldi stuff and some Chopin-esque stuff at the end. And I think that, when people hear the piano part at the end of Poisonous Shadows, they're taken a little back because they don't understand why there's piano on a Megadeth record. But anybody that's a real fan of Megadeth will know that the first record, Killing Is My Business, and Business Is Good, the very first song was called Last Rites / Love to Death, and starts off with me playing piano. And it's a very bad version of, it's a fugue in D minor. I think it's Beethoven or something. It's really bad, but so it just seemed natural. And when Kiko started playing, he just had this fluidity with his playing, because his wife is a very popular, very successful keyboard player from Finland. And those two play a lot together. In fact, that's how they met. He was a guitar player that had been asked to sit in the group that she was playing in. And they met, fell in love, got married, and consequently he's playing piano in that song. I thought it was really great too, because the darkness of it. Poisonous Shadows was a song that actually was the last musical song that I wrote on this record, and the lyric was something that was coming together as we went, but I didn't have a song to put the lyrics to yet. And a lot of the song is lyrically about soul searching for me, and things in my past, things I needed to do some reconciliation with, making amends, so to speak, and kind of going back and righting the wrongs I had done. And that was kind of something that was kind of in the forefront of my mind while I was writing it, but it wasn't the dominating fact of the song and the topic that I wanted to follow. It was more along the lines of a lot of the really dark series on TV right now. My wife and daughter and I, when we first moved out to Tennessee, we started binge watching a lot of TV programs like The Blacklist and Vikings and Ray Donovan and stuff like that. And Outlander is another one. And there's some really interesting scenes in a lot of those shows where I took the feeling of some of these really heavy scenes, and I thought, the way that makes me feel watching that, can I translate that into music so that I can capture my feelings, my thoughts, but that color, if you understand what I mean. And when the song started, oddly enough, the song Interstate Love Song, the beginning of Poisonous Shadows, I had always called that lick STP, because I have these little identifiers for my riffs. I've got a folder that has 200 different songs in it. When we started the record, I have no idea where it's at right now, because we would grab little pieces. But that's how I identified that. In the very beginning part, where the acoustic and the sitar are playing together, that was where it started. So it's interesting how it started from something that was almost alternative in the acoustic performance, and then it got darker and darker and darker. The orchestration in there was something that I had in my mind's eye, and I had a guy named Charlie Judge, who's a big arranger out in Nashville, do the overdubs for that. And when that showed up, when we were nearing the end of the session for that particular song, it was a great feeling because, you know, sometimes when you embellish on a song, it's just like salt, too much ruins it. And we had another guy we were talking to in the beginning, and he just didn't get it. And when Charlie's stuff came in, it's like, that's it, perfect. So that's one of my favorite, I would have to say, it is my favorite song on the record for a lot of different reasons. There's other songs on there that resonate with me depending on how I feel during the day. If I'm feeling snotty, you know, I want to hear something that's a little more aggressive, but that would probably be the one I come back to all the time as my #1 favorite song. Well, my mom was a German Jew, so there was a lot of Yiddish spoken in our house, and there's a lot of, I mean, I can still hear her saying stuff like "Pak Diamash" and, you know, crazy, stupid stuff like that. So I've read a lot of stuff that most people won't read. And I remember when I was a kid watching the classic Bible stories, you know, Ben-Hur and the Ten Commandments and stuff like that. And, you know, God, if you didn't watch a movie with Charlton Heston in it at least once a month, you were, you know, just visiting this planet, you know. So I think a lot of those lyrics, those parables, they, if you can say something with a short amount of words with a lot of meaning, to me that's really being a lyricist, being a poet, being a writer, whatever. And it's funny because there's two, I believe, ways to look at the world right now. Either it's a great place with a lot of really shitty people, or it's a terrible place with very few good people. Now, I think that the world is a great place, and right now it's kind of going through this process of you know, turmoil everywhere. And there are good and bad people everywhere, but it's like that old saying, you know, evil happens when good people refuse to do anything, or however that goes. The saying, I can't remember how it goes exactly, but Fatal Illusion itself doesn't really, that line doesn't really have much to do with what the content of that song is, because that song's about somebody who was incarcerated because it was easier to lock him up than to try and, you know, rehabilitate the person.